Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA here today with Grace the Lioness Spicer. Thank you so much for your time, Grace.
No worries.
Now, Grace, just a couple of days ago, I saw some amazing footage of you smashing the shit out of the pads. What are you preparing for? Obviously, you got a fight coming up.
Yeah, 4 weeks. 4 weeks today I'm fighting. So it's at the O2 in London.
All right. And what's that fight?
It's on a good promotion. It's called Muay Thai Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting one of the best girls in Greece. So yeah, it's going to be a good fight.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how's the training going leading up to it? You're feeling good? You're looking very sharp.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Like I normally start about 8 weeks. So I'm about halfway through. But yeah, I'm feeling sharp. Sparring's on point. So yeah, no, I'm feeling good. I can't wait already.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about diet and everything? I heard you talking about how you were trying to focus on building a bit more muscle and being a little bit different than you were in that last world title fight that you had.
Yeah, I'm just changing a few little things. My conditioning coach is going to changing sort of some of the things we're doing, and I'm actually eating more than I was before. I think a lot of fighters do that. We eat less and then expect to gain muscle. But yeah, so I'm just trying to build up a little bit, and see how it goes. But I'm feeling good.
That's good. It's interesting. Hey, like fighters are becoming a lot more aware of what they can eat and everything, and the science of weight loss rather than just starving themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone thinks it's like protein, and don't have a lot of carbs. But I'm actually eating more carbs, and my weight's lower. So it's mad.
That's good. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to do a quick honorable mention. Kieran Carruthers at Roadhouse Macau, who's actually brought us together for the chat. Kieran's actually sponsoring Grace, a new sponsor for Grace, previously sponsoring Andy Howson. So thanks, Kieran.
Yeah, massive thank you. I can't thank him enough, really. Obviously, he sponsored my coach, Andy, and then wanted to start sponsoring me as well. And all it does is really just, it helps me be here in Leeds, because I'm actually from London, without stressing about making that I'm losing money and what I'm going to do to get here, and just stop stressing as much. So it's just, I can't thank him enough.
That's great. That's great. Kieran, if you ever get over here, you should thank him with a big elbow over his forehead. I was thinking it'd be kind of cool if you gave him an axe wound, even if you just get him to hold pads for a minute, just slip it down the center and drop a big elbow on his head for me. All right.
Yeah, no worries.
1,000 pounds extra sponsorship. All right.
Oh, perfect.
That's it. So yeah, with this fight coming up, I heard you mention that you were a mandatory challenger for a rematch of the title. What happened there? Just not enough ability to do it at the moment with all COVID and everything?
Yeah, so basically what happened, we fought last March. It was in London, and literally just after that was when COVID just sort of exploded everywhere. And it was meant to be within 8 months of that fight. So basically we fought, it was a close decision. We didn't agree with the decision, and a lot of people didn't. So that then brought a case of WBC. They obviously rewatched it, and they agreed that it needed to be an immediate rematch. And it was meant to be within 8 months. But obviously, because of COVID, that's all sort of thrown out the window. And hopefully it's going to be after this fight.
Yep. And for those that don't know, it was a WBC world title. Grace fought. It was a very, very close fight. Very, it was a very highly contested fight by both of them. But in my opinion, watching it as well on the video is always different than live. But on the video, to me, I would have picked that you're the winner as well. And I know yourself and a lot of other people you've been interviewing with also feel that way. So let's hope you can get back to a rematch and show her who's boss.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Like, on the night, obviously, Andy was saying it, so loads of people that I know were saying it. And, you've always got that doubt, they want me to win. So are they watching me too much, and are they not watching what she was doing? But then people that I didn't even really know, and fighters that I don't know that well, were messaging me saying, oh, you should have got that, blah, blah, blah. So that made me think, okay. And then when I finally got the video, then I was even more confused. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And also you got to turn it into a positive. So I think like you've mentioned, that loss showed you in your heart how much you wanted it and how much you really valued the title. And then it makes it harder, and it gives you something to fight back for, right? Sometimes if you have life too easy, you take it for granted. So you got to turn it to that positive.
To tell the kids.
Let it light the fire, and keep going hard until you take it,
Yeah, I mean, I was in a really bad place afterwards because I think if I'd have lost the fight and thought I lost the fight or, got stopped or whatever, I think it would have actually been easier to take.
Yeah.
But then the more people were saying to me, you should have got that, I think it was making me worse. If you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was just like, everyone stopped telling me that I should have won.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I've rewatched it. I'm gonna learn from that. And next time, I'm gonna be even better than I was before.
Yeah.
And then when I win it now, it'll be even better. It'll be a bit of a story.
And there's no performance bonus or there is sometimes in Thai boxing, right? But there's no set sort of bonus for winning or anything in your fights. Is that correct? It's like a set winning amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, most shows, like, it's a separate contract really for each fight. And some shows they do, this is your purse, and then you might get a few extra something if you do win. But for that one, it wasn't. It was just, I got the same. It's funny when you don't win though. You get handed your purse, and I forget half the time. I don't even think about it. I either want to go celebrate or I'm gutted.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, so Grace, at the moment you're training hard for your next fight. Is that a title defense of your other title or no?
No, it's not, because Muay Thai Grand Prix, they don't have any other sort of titles on their show rock apart from Muay Thai Grand Prix titles. So I've got the IKF world title, but they don't really work with any organisations. So it's just literally just going to be a fight, this one.
Okay, so like a tune-up fight. Well,
pretty much.
Interested in what's your current training schedule? Like, what are you working? Like, are you doing a 6-day week, or are you training morning, afternoon? Do you work on the side? What's your sort of plan?
So basically, I ramp it up about 5 weeks before, and I've just come to Leeds a lot. And I'm here about 4 days a week, and we train twice a day. I mean, yesterday I trained 3 times. It was a bit chaotic, but it just sort of what happens, who's about to spar, what we're working on and stuff like that. And then obviously I do pads and stuff at home as well. I always have 1 day off, and that's normally either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. And your style of training, is it echoing like the old school Thai style of training, or do you work in, like you mentioned, strength and conditioning, recovery, all those things? Do you work that sort of new age style in, or you keep it old school?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've got so my strength and conditioning coach, he's also an injury prevention coach. So it's perfect. And I've done both my knees, I've had operations on. I snapped a knee in one of my fights. Snapped my ACL. So I do a lot of just like balancing. And even though you're just about breaking a sweat, it kills your legs and stuff like that. And, like just like hopping side to side and things like that. So I put that in with the pads, the sparring. I don't do that much running because of my knees, but I do a lot of sprinting. And for me, I think sprinting is better than long distance running because, you're only fighting for 5 threes, so running for an hour, that's not the sort of cardio that I think works best. You more want explosive. But
that's part of the development of the sport, right? People are starting to realize, a lot of people say that you should be working more sport specific exercises, whether it's strength and conditioning or the running, sprinting, etc. A lot of people don't believe in the long running anymore, right? It's not like not so
definitely.
many boxes.
Like when I was 18 and I moved to Thailand, I lived there for 6 months, and every morning we'd go for a really long run. And at the time I used to think, this is what we've got to do. This is what we've got to do. But looking back, I don't think it does as much as fast twitch, because we're using our fast twitch fibers, not using the slow twitch ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I think when I went to college, I think obviously then I learned more about it as well, and I think that helped with my training.
Yeah, and then there's also that debate about skills training versus even basic strength and conditioning. Like, if you've only got X amount of time, do you focus on like an actual activity that you're doing? Like, example, 100 kicks is more relative to the movement you're doing than sprinting up a hill. So there's that argument I hear a lot now too. And then the extra part too. I'm interested in how do you balance that skill versus pads? Like, some of the pad work, is your pad work very skill based, or it's more cardio based, or how do you work it?
With Andy, it's fight specific. Like this morning, we was literally working on what I want to do on the fight. And it's almost, even when he's got the pads, I'm hitting the pads, but it's almost like I'm throwing exactly what I want to throw in sparring. So when he takes the pads away and we start sparring, I just mimic exactly what we was doing on the pads. So it's very, rather than just going 1-2 hooks straight, like, just throwing mad combinations. And then there'll be other times where we're just going to do a killer round, and it will literally be horrible. It'll be like 10 kicks. It'll be just disgusting. So we go from rounds. It'll either be like, we're focusing on something, or it'll just be like a cardio round.
Yeah. I've seen some great videos from Bad Company with Liam and that doing some great pads. The pads seem to be kind of specific. Do you guys work like the pad holder is leading the combinations, or do you work that more intuitive style of pad holding where you're just the pad holder is just reacting to you?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
But definitely Andy does call it a lot. But at the same time, if you can see something, then throw it. That's what he says.
Yeah.
But it's a very aggressive, Bad Company is a very aggressive style.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that I love to fight. You know, if you win a fight but everyone walks away and goes, oh, well, that was a bit boring, wasn't it? Then like that's the worst for me.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that when I'm going to fight, I'm going in there for a war. So
yeah, exactly. I actually refer to Liam often in some class. I teach some basic level classes and I refer to him. I say, look at this guy. This is the intensity I want you to have. You know, when people are just like going through the motions, it's like, have this intensity, you know, look at this guy. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes you scared as well. When I spar him, I'm scared. He just looks at me like he's a madman. And I catch him with like one good shot and I'm like, right now I'm in trouble.
Yeah. No, he's amazing. And actually, you know, one time in Macau, I always follow the fights and everything, but it's kind of random here. It's just one day someone said to me, oh, you're coming to the Thai boxing tonight. I said, what's happening? And they went, oh, there's a Thai boxing. And they had it at this place called Fisherman's Wharf. And it was this old Coliseum. Like it's a little tiny fake old Coliseum, open door, like a ruin that they made that looks like Greece or whatever, or Rome. And then it has like the ring set in the center. And I walk up like, okay, it's just a Thai boxing show. I thought it'd be a local thing. I look on the poster and it's got like Sancho fighting Liam and a few other superstars, you know. It was just amazing. So we watched Liam fight Sancho in Macau on that night. It's pretty amazing. I didn't even know about it till like a couple of hours before. Amazing.
Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah.
Two of the best fighters on the planet there.
Exactly. And there was a few others as well. They escaped me though who it was. But yeah, I know those two. And so Grace, just wanted to understand, like, you know, obviously the sport's kind of male dominated, etc. And I haven't talked to many females. So I'm interested in what drives you or what drove you to be a fighter and take that hard path in life, you know?
I didn't really love school, hated school. I just love sports. But I used to play football and I wanted to lose weight for that. Or soccer. I don't know if you call it soccer. Do you call it soccer?
In Australia, we call it soccer, yeah. But I've been in Asia for a while. They call it football, so I'm a bit confused.
Oh, well, either way, that one. And I wanted to do some weight. And I went to a Thai boxing gym near me, just literally for that and that only. And to be honest, I didn't even really know what Thai boxing was.
Yeah.
And I did it literally a few times, and I was like, "This is mental. I love it." And the bloke that owned the gym, Alan Keddle, he saw me and he was like, oh, you know, I think, you know, you could fight. And literally it went from there. Straight away, I was having like amateur fights, kids fights. And then I turned around and told my mum and dad. They went mad, said that I wasn't allowed to. It was carnage. So then I had to do it without them knowing.
Yeah.
So I used to say, I'm going to my mates down the park or wherever. And then we used to go and do an amateur fight.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, they still don't like it now, but
it is what it is, right? Hey,
exactly.
So from those, so let's say you went and you did a class. From that moment, did you train pretty full on, or was it just here and there?
No, literally every class that I could do, I was literally there. So obviously, my mum and dad they didn't give me any money to go because they didn't want me to do it.
Yeah.
So I'd help out with like the kids' classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like and then I'll get training for free.
Yeah.
So I just literally I went from having no idea what it was to a few months having my first fight.
Yeah.
And then that was it really. And then as soon as I was 18, I couldn't wait to get to Thailand. I lived there for 6 months, came back for a month, went back out. And I was just going backwards and forwards.
That's awesome. Hey, Grace, you know, I've been talking to quite a few guys. This podcast's only been about 6 months old, talking to quite a lot of ex-champions from different combat sports. And the common theme is they catch it, they find something, whether it's karate or Muay Thai, and then they just dive into it and they can't stop.
Yeah.
What is it? What's that feeling like? What is it that makes a person like you just go in and say, this is for me, I'm smashing it out every day? Like, what is it what do you get from it? Like, what is that achieve? What makes you want to do that?
Do you know what, right? It's hitting pads is great. I love hitting pads.
Yeah.
But I even like it when I'm getting punched. I know that sounds mad, but I'm like, come on, let's go. And then I can't wait to give it back.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I had my first fight, I don't think you can explain that buzz to someone unless they've done it.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be buzzes that come close doing different things like, you know, jumping out of a plane and stuff like that. But like for me, you just can't get that. I can't get that buzz doing anything else. I can go on like the maddest roller coaster, and it doesn't even compare to it.
Yeah.
So like it's like, you know, that morning, you know, when you're a little kid and it's Christmas morning and you get that mad buzz.
Yeah.
I get that every time I'm going to fight. That morning and when I get up, I'm going to like. I wish I could do that every weekend.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, like I told a couple of my guys when they're fighting, like, you know, the feeling you have now, this intensity and that, this is something that people don't feel. Like your general person doesn't feel that. Firstly, they don't have the courage to do something like that. And secondly, they don't have the chance to have that feeling of waking up with that intensity, like, fuck, I'm going to fight a trained fighter today, and anything can happen.
And you don't know what's going to happen. Like,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
That's the thing.
So it is a buzz, and it is an experience that no one can understand really unless they've done it. Right?
I mean, it'd make a lot of people just crumble or run away. But I just can't wait to get to the venue. Can't wait to get my hands wrapped.
Yeah.
I'm like an excited kid. Like that. If anything, I have to be like calm down.
Yeah. That's awesome. But not everyone can be like that, Grace. It's the warrior mentality, you know. That's what divides you from the people that are casual trainers and fighters, and that to make you towards like being that world champion that you are, and the person that's gonna take that WC title later.
Yeah, exactly.
And so in saying that, what can you achieve as a fighter, a Thai boxing fighter? Like as a Thai fighter, what can you achieve? Like what's the main idea of it for you?
Yeah, well, so you know, belts are great, and I love the belts that I've got. I've got WBC national, and I've got the international one. So obviously I'm only missing that one, but and obviously when I won my world title, you know, my dad got in the ring and everyone was going mad, and it was a great feeling. Like, because you know, from first hitting that pad, I never once thought that I'd be able to, you know, achieve that.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I help at the gym, I work there, and just like, you know, seeing kids get better and better and taking them to their first fights, and you know, things like that. I get a buzz off that. I go home after like a few of my kids have fought, like I'm all adrenaline rushed. It's mad.
Yeah.
But I just love it. Whether I'm helping someone, like inspiring, or you know, I'm fight training myself.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go to university or anything like that, but I don't regret it because I'm just doing what I love. You know, when I'm sitting there with my mates and they're all complaining about their jobs, I sit there silent because I can't. I might complain I'm tired, but I love it so much that it's just, I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones, really.
It's true. You know, if you can find something, you have that passion from when you started, you didn't want to stop, and you still have that feeling, then you've done the right thing. And give or take a few dollars don't mean anything. You can't take that with you when you leave. You know, it's about life experience. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've been to countries that I never would have gone to. Like I went to Tokyo in Japan and fought out there. Yeah, that was mad. Yeah. Obviously, I fought in Australia. Yeah. Stayed at John Wayne Parr's house for 2 weeks. Awesome. That was ridiculous. Like he was one of the first people I started watching. When I first started, I thought I'm gonna get on YouTube and have a look about what I'm actually doing here. And I started watching him, Sancho, Liam, and now I'm like in Liam's house. You know, he's training me. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. Yeah.
Now Wayne Parr's definitely a big legend. So you fought on his show?
No, I fought on I can't actually remember what the name of the show was, but he cornered me. Yeah. He cornered me with his wife, Angie. Yeah. And obviously Andy came with me. Yeah. Can't actually remember what the show was called now. But I fought quite a good Australian girl. I think she was number 1 in Australia. I think she still is now, to be fair. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good fight, 5 rounds.
Awesome. Have a look back. Actually, on your record that I saw, it didn't actually have a fight in Australia listed. I don't know. It's not been on there. Did it not? Yeah, for some reason. Oh. I actually heard you say that you'd fought in Australia. I was going to ask you. So you fought in Australia. I think I'd seen that you'd been over a few places. Obviously, you've been fighting in Europe at a few places. You fought in Holland as well, correct? England. Yeah. Where else?
Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
Portugal, I fought. Yeah.
Yep. Japan, that's amazing, right? Japan's a whole different culture, right?
Japan was amazing. Do you know what it was like? I fought in Portugal and I got booed. When I was walking into the ring, I was getting booed. I was like, whoa. When I walked in Japan, they was all clapping me. I was like, oh, this is lovely.
It's true. They're like a polite race, right?
It was so like mad. And afterwards, there was like a press conference and stuff. And these people were queuing. And I was thinking, oh, have I got to get in this massive queue? This is mad. I'm like, you know, I've just fought, like, but they were queuing for my autograph. Yeah. And I was like, nah, this is mad.
How good.
All wanting photos. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, they've got a big
because
history.
they
And
see you as like famous almost, and
true.
I don't see myself like that. So there was all I was asking for my autograph, and I was sort of looking at hand, like I was looking across, like, and I haven't really got one. I was just making it up.
That's it. They're all different.
Yeah, I hope none of them match them up.
That's it. Now that's they're a bit of a different culture. They've got a history of following fights and some things, like example, probably even in Thai boxing, you know, some people don't like the clinch, but these guys appreciate different aspects of art, like they appreciate ground fighting even, or grappling. So it's quite an interesting culture in that way. Lots of respect too, right?
Yeah, really, really respectful. Like I couldn't have been treated better when I was there.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
That's awesome. And on the traveling topic, you obviously trained in Thailand. Did you also compete there?
I've never competed in Thailand.
Yeah.
So I've been wrapped up, hands ready to go.
Yeah.
Got in the ring, and they'd switched the girl that I was fighting with.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky, really. I had a Thai coach that was like, his name's Liam. He was really looking after me at the time. I've been there a while.
Yeah.
And she must have been, I don't know, 65 maybe. And I was about 52. It was, it was crazy. I looked up, but I would never have got out of the ring. I would have just gone, right, that's it, handbags.
Yeah.
I'm going to swing.
Yeah.
But he pulled me out. He was like, no, you're not fighting. So that one didn't happen.
Yeah.
Another time, I drove all the way to, like, we drove for hours. Yeah, it was in Bangkok I started, and we drove for hours to this place. The girl didn't show up. So twice it's not worked.
Yeah.
But I will.
Yeah, that's good. And what's your feeling, like your overall feeling for being in Thailand and training there?
I when I first went there, I think it was maybe a little bit better than it is now. Like I think it's got a bit touristy now.
Yeah.
And I had, obviously, like I said, I had this coach Liam who really looked after me. So I went to only one gym, didn't go anywhere else. So I went 8 times, but never moved to anywhere else. It was Cap on Tip in Bangkok, and it was like in a little village, and there was no really distractions there. It literally was, you can walk to like the strip and get like a smoothie, and that's your lot, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a little tiny village, and like you didn't see any foreigners there unless you was in that Thai boxing gym. Yeah. So I quite liked it. Obviously you can go like Koh Samui, Phuket and all that, and you can go to more of a touristy one. But I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And what I kept doing was going out, doing a fight camp there, coming home and fighting. And I'd always beat the girls here, and then I'd just fly back out. And so that's
awesome. And I want you to describe your style of fighting. Like, what's your strengths? Most gyms have certain strengths. When I'm watching you, you seem like to be quite an all-rounder. You seem to utilize everything, really. Not too kick heavy, but you use kicks, hands, knees, elbows, everything, right? You're pretty well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean, I like to use everything. I wouldn't say there's one thing I love to use.
Yeah.
But I like being aggressive. And I like just to put on a bit of a show as well. Like, I don't want to just look a bit boring. So I like to, put in, I always work on maybe 1 or 2 things in my head for that fight. And I always say to myself, I want to pull that off in the fight. Yeah. So just waiting for the right moments. And I love my clinch. Yeah. There's not many girls that I've ever clinched with and I've felt out of place.
Yeah. So. And your strength would be the grind, right? Like you just put it on them and don't stop until you win, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, fingers crossed, I've never been stopped. I've never been put down like badly or anything like that. So, I had my last fight, obviously that WBC one, I had a big cut across my head. I don't know if you've seen it, like Harry Potter.
I did see the blood,
Yeah.
I remember one of the guys interviewing you said maybe that was the reason that you lost, that they saw the blood and kind of thought about it too much.
That's all that I can think. Yeah, that's all that I can think. But if anything, I just thought, this is going to look great on the photos.
Yeah, exactly.
Blood everywhere.
Actually, someone said that in the commentator actually said something like that, like about the good photos or good highlight or something. Yeah. Yeah,
all for the gram or something, I think he said.
Yeah, that's it. It was. And the state of women's fighting at the moment, like in your neck of the woods, how is it? Is it very strong? Lots of people training and competing, or what? Yeah,
I mean, before COVID, it was getting really strong, and so many girls were like doing like main events. Like, I was the main event of that show. Yeah, and it's like when I first started, you'd never see a girl fight main event. Yeah, like I never. And now it's not weird for girls to be co-main or main event. So it was really picking up. Obviously, COVID, I think, has just killed a lot of people off because, you know, money, gyms were shut, things like that. But I think it's going to pick straight back up. We've got quite strong rankings here of girls at all different weights.
Yeah.
And I think obviously around the world, I think girls fighting's got so much bigger. With everything, boxing, like in UFC, MMA, I feel like, you know, girls has just gone. Whereas like boys, I think before they used to go, it's the girls fight, let's go to the bar, or it's the girls fight, let's switch the telly over. I think they get a bit hyped about the girls fights because they can see that we go in and we don't care, like we throw.
Yeah, and that's around the world. The female fighting's obviously gone from strength to strength from before when there was no one. Like when I was young, there was really next to no one competing, and now you've got like some superstars in different arts, whether it's kickboxing, Thai boxing, MMA, you know, even BJJ. There's huge female stars as well now. It's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So speaking of stars, I wanted to know what it's like training with Liam and Andy, and do you ever get a word in edgewise? I think it'd be pretty difficult, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, you know, like I said before, like them two, I started watching when I first started Thai boxing. Those two I was watching all the time.
Yeah.
Because at the time they were just fighting all the time. They were fighting all the best foreigners. And then like now they're both like looking after me.
Yeah.
And Andy's like always, you know, holding pads to me, working on things. It's just I just feel really lucky that they look after me like they do. Really. I stay at Liam's house when I'm in Leeds.
Yeah.
So yeah, they couldn't have been any more welcoming really when I come to Badco.
That's great. And what are the main things that you would say that they've given you in your fighting ability? What lessons have they taught you, or what technical skills have they given you? What would you contribute directly to them that you might not get from another coach?
I think I was already aggressive before I come here, but I think because that's how they already are, that they showed me how to use it better rather than just be aggressive and coming forwards, you know, still using angles and things like that. Yeah. And just the way that they train, it's just like ruthless.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if everyone's training like that, you don't want to be the one that's like, you know, looking to not like you're not the one that's training as hard. You know what I mean? So you get pushed from like the people that you're training with. You're always getting pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah. That's awesome. I see like how much of a broad range of technical skills does Liam have? Just seeing the videos that he puts out, you know, and doing those like partner drills. He's just like smashing people. I think people are going, nah, don't demonstrate on me, please, you know?
It's disgusting. Like even when you see his low kicks hitting the pads, and his body shots, his body hooks are awful. Yeah. And the other day we was doing like I was hitting the bag, then he was doing power shots with Andy, then we'd switch.
Yeah.
And like just even when he's hitting the power shots, I'm just it's like going through my eardrum.
Yeah.
But crazy, right? Nice. Yeah, he's like a tank.
Yeah, it generates massive power from really short range too, right? You can see like boom, like short movement, and he's got so much power. It's amazing.
Yeah. But at the same time, he's got such good skill level to go with the power.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to stand there and have a war, he can just use his left kick and move and stuff like that. So yeah, he's got both sides really.
So obviously I've seen these guys do all the technique type things because that's all over YouTube and that, and on their website as well. But how are they as a coach, like at actually showing people things and guiding people and leading you to fights, etc.? How are they in that respect?
Yeah, really good. Like I can talk to them about like if I need anything, I can talk to them. And when they explain something for me, they explain it really well. And just like, you know, they keep you calm as well. Like, you know, when you, especially before a fight, I get obviously like a bit hyped up. You know, you're nervous, but you're excited at the same time. Andy's quite good at like bringing me back down. Yeah. And in the corner, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like, you know, he'll give me a smack and stuff like that, which some fighters, I think they respond well to that. And other fighters, they need like, you know, calm. But I need, if I'm not doing what I need to be doing, I need like irate shouting and give me a smack, and then I'll do it the next round. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And on the side, you just touched on about like the getting ready before you're going in and calming you down, etc. Everyone has a different way of dealing with a fight, you know, whether it's a it might be a month out, people are starting to think, or it might be closer to the fight. How do you prepare psychologically? Actually, to be honest, when I listen to you talking, I don't think you need as much preparation as many people, because you are excited by it rather than being fearful. But there's got to be some self-doubts, etc., that you have to deal with. So what do you go through to make yourself ready for fights?
Yeah, definitely. I think if any fighter says they don't have any self-doubt or any, like, nerves, whatever, they are having like a little bit, like they're kidding themselves a little bit. You always do. But for me, being excited outweighs that. Like when you're counting your days down to going on holiday, that's what I'm doing. Like, so, but you do always have a little bit of self-doubt. For me, I just talk. I do talk to myself. I probably look like a crazy woman sometimes when I'm warming up, because I shadow box and I just talk to myself. And especially since I've had the knee injuries, and they told me that, so the doctor said not to fight again. You've done both ACLs.
They always say that, right?
He literally walked into the room with the clipboard and said, "I fixed both your knees. Please don't fight anymore." Yeah. And I literally turned around and said, "Listen, I wouldn't have let you fix the knees. The only reason I've let you fix the knees is because I want to fight again." And he's just like this with the clipboard. Yeah. So I always say things like to myself, they haven't been through what I've been through, or they don't want it as much as me. Yeah. And it is a bit of, they probably do want it as much as you, but in my mind they don't. Yeah. And just little things. And then obviously I've got my other half, Huss. He used to fight. He was an MMA fighter. So he's very good at saying certain things. And obviously I've got Andy saying certain things. And that just gets my confidence. Because, as much as you can train your ass off and you can train every day, twice a day, but if that day you haven't got confidence, or, your head's not there, it just doesn't matter. That's just, I know they say, that's a lot of the fight game in it. I believe that. Yeah. It's 50% what you do in the gym and 50%, mind and how you go in there. Yeah. And then when you're training, you've got this positive mindset of you want it more than everyone else. Does that also carry into the training? Like you do those extra 10 kicks, you do that extra round. Does that keep rolling through your training as well? Yeah, 100%. Because I enjoy training. And then when I'm getting out of breath and when I'm in bad way, that's when you start to think, oh, right, this is actually getting hard now. And that's just when I think, well, she's doing it, or she's doing the same thing, or anything like that. And I just always want to do more in my own head. But yeah. That's awesome. And you mentioned your partner was an MMA fighter. And because this channel, we're talking to everyone from combat sports, and we're primarily talking about MMA, although I'm from a stand-up background as well. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on MMA. Like, do you follow it? Are you interested? Have you ever trained any or anything like this? Yeah, I trained for about a year. All right. And I really enjoyed the wrestling. I love the wrestling. The ground game, like as in the jiu-jitsu part, is where I wasn't enjoying it as much. Yeah. I think because the wrestling for me, it's borderline, clinch. Obviously, it's a bit different, but it's the same sort of grounds of that. But for me, it was just my knees. Yeah. Then all it takes is one big takedown, and then I'm out of my Thai fights. Yeah. So I come to that sort of crossroads. Yeah. And that's when I just decided just to stick to Thai. Although I still do a bit of wrestling here and there because I just enjoy learning. Yeah. So do you actually follow any of the MMA fights or anything like that? You follow UFC or these ones? Yeah, loads. Yeah. All of them. Yeah. Me and my other half, if I'm not in fight camp, we get up in the middle of the night and get to the telly and watch the big fights. I love watching it. Yeah. What about because you're from that part of the world, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on Paddy the Baddy? He's crazy, isn't he? He's mad. He's awesome. I'm good friends with Molly. Who's, okay, the one that he trains with, and she was on the same cards. The UFC love him already, don't they? They're already putting loads of stuff up about him. Yeah. So, to be honest, it's not just the UFC. He's just a likable and interesting, polarizing guy. Like, it's not really the UFC promoting him. It's just everyone, when some character like that comes up, that's an interesting guy, he's got a bit of flash about him. He's a pretty cool guy and he's driven to win. People want to watch and they want to listen to him. So he's a new guy. He's popped up. Everyone's watching him. He's one of them guys who you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth next. Yeah, exactly. And that's exciting, isn't it? Because you're like, what is he going to say? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Conor McGregor was when he first started, and he was saying what he wanted, and he's got that sort of style with him, like the way he holds himself.
Yeah, that's it. And everyone's kind of comparing him to Conor, but he's a different man altogether. But at the same time, he's got a very tough run up ahead of him. I don't know if you know the top 10, 15 of the lightweight division. There are some absolute monsters in there. So he's talking the talk, but let's see how he goes, because the first fight was a good fighter. Everyone in UFC is a good fighter. He did extremely well. It was an amazing fight. But let's see what happens when we move up. See if you can silence the doubters. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a shame that you stayed away from MMA in a sense, because it would be interesting to see how you would go and how your Muay Thai skills would transfer into the MMA scene. But at the same time, it's good to focus on one thing and perfect one thing as well. And like you said, there's more chance of injury for sure if you're doing everything. Yeah. Versus one of the particular skills where you can kind of be a bit more controlled, a bit less pressure on the knees, etc. But both tough as hell.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Grace, so I didn't want to keep you any longer, but is there any plugs you'd like to make or mention any of your sponsors, etc.?
Yeah, I'd love just to obviously say thanks to Kieran again in the Roadhouse, because without him, I'd be in like he's helped me so much. I've got a few other sponsors. I've got Pure Sports Medicine in London. They help me with my rehab, massages and stuff. And just everyone that follows me, enjoys watching me fight. And yeah, that's it really.
Man, you got a new supporter here. I've been watching a few of your fights. So, and after talking to you, I definitely want to follow you. You're a lovely woman and an amazing fighter. So, thank you so much for your time, Grace. And wishing you all the best in training, all the best in your upcoming fight. And we'll be in your corner mentally when you go for the WBC title.
Hopefully,
title
I get
when you win the WBC title, we'll be having a beer at Roadhouse. And one day I hope you can come and visit us over here. It'll be cool.
Yeah, the Guinness looks lovely. So I've got to get over another Guinness.
That's it. Yeah. Kieran to pour you on. Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks so much for your time, Grace. We'll head out.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.